break and said, "Hey guys, well, guess what? We've got a transfer."
He was my fraternity brother's older
Sacrifice that
brother.
the American people.
Prosperous communities have healthy environments.
Trust now. She lived in trafficking for 4 years. I really felt, for a lot of reasons, I felt for them, but I didn't have the guts to stand up.
From busking on the street corner on King Street in Boone, North Carolina, to the stage of the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, Tennessee, Old Crow Medicine Show has made old-time music hip. Front and center is Ketch Secor, a founding member, a songwriter, and author. Secor is as comfortable with Bob Dylan as he is with Dolly Parton. He is a well-spoken intellectual who has an intelligent but simple approach to his writing and music. Old Crow Medicine Show has a message in their music, but not an agenda. They are good at what they do, and to prove it, there are Grammy Awards and the prestige of being members of the Grand Ole Opry. Vocalist, fiddle, harmonica, banjo, and guitar player. From Old Crow Medicine Show, we welcome Ketch Secor to the conversations. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm thrilled you invited me.
Well, we are looking forward to our conversation with you. Tell me, what age did you just really get interested in music?
Well, it all happened for me when I was in the 4th grade, and I took a field trip to Monticello, you know, old Thomas Jefferson's joint.
Yeah.
And anyway, I grew up in the Shenandoah Valley, Virginia, so that was only about 40 miles away from the school. We got off the bus, and my dad had given me $5. He said, you know, get something from the gift shop.
Right.
And all the kids wanted to get the quill pen. You know, he invented a lot of amazing things, and one of the things that he invented, and we saw it, was the double quill pen, the original mimeograph machine, you know. Anyway, $5 doesn't go very far at the gift shop at Monticello, but I used my $5 to buy a Jew's harp. Have you ever seen one of these instruments? The Jew's harp or jaw harp or mouth harp.
Right.
It's an instrument that was really an instrument used by slaves in the American South around, you know, the campfire at night kind of thing. And I learned to play this instrument in a matter of seconds, and suddenly I was into folk music.
Okay. Very good. Tell me about your first song. I heard your first song. We were about, what, 12 years old, first song you learned?
Yeah.
And it had to do with the civil rights era, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, I was 12, and I had a paper route, right? So that meant I got to get an alarm clock, because I had to get up at 5 in the morning. But the thing that was so amazing was having my alarm clock had an AM radio. It had FM too, and FM was cool, but at night I could hear all these stations in from so far away. And you know, in that regard, being mesmerized by radio wasn't really a 1980s childhood experience. It was more of a 1950s childhood experience. But man, when I could dial in Toronto in my little hometown in Virginia, or I could hear him speaking French up in Montreal, or I could listen to the traffic in Cincinnati, or what was going on in Texas. It was so great. I just felt like the world was moving all around me. And that's when I started calling in to call-in radio shows like TalkNet and making up problems that could only be solved by late-night radio.
Okay. So, okay, I totally get that, because you're talking about like the Sally Jesse Raphaels of the world, the Bruce Wood, all this sort of stuff.
I've got this burning question, and I only a public forum of broadcast can I air my grievances.
That's right. So when did you start playing and singing and that kind of stuff?
Well, I got my Jew's harp, right, and I was twanging away, but see, it really messes up your teeth.
Yeah.
So then I got me a harmonica, right? Wah, wah. And that was such a great instrument. Then I got one of these penny whistles, right? But I ran over it with my bicycle. Then the most wonderful thing happened. My uncle got a teaching job in Manila, and he moved to the Philippines. But he had to leave his junk somewhere, so we chose our attic.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, the attic became the most treasured place of my childhood, because there were boxes after boxes of my uncle's junk, and he had such good junk. And one of the things that he had a lot of were these wonderful records. and I heard these records that were just so informative to me. It's like my ears got this education that all the other 12-year-old kids in 1987, 89, they didn't get this kind of education. You couldn't get this kind of education on FM radio or even AM radio. I listened to Motown. I listened to a 14-year-old Stevie Wonder sing Blowing in the Wind, and I wondered, what does that even mean? What does, you know, it's like, you know, how many roads must a man walk down? When you're a kid and you hear that question, how many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? I mean, that was better than anything I was getting out of 7th grade English class, let me tell you.
Right.
Those sorts of primal questions that caused you to want to reinvestigate everything around you. Nothing felt sacred at all. It was like friendships in school, what was on TV. It was all fair game. Once I heard this music, really, especially the music of the folk revival, this period of time in which people were picking up instruments that they had put down. You know, the post-war generation, rock and roll, all this popular music. When the folk music came back around again in the 60s, it really meant a lot. And it was applied into the civil rights movement in a powerful way. You know, I was just talking with my friend here in Pensacola earlier this week. He said, you know that they were singing We Shall Overcome when they brought down the Berlin Wall? I mean, that's a song from the American South. The power of music like this, it really transcends race, religion, and region.
Absolutely. Tell me, how did Old Crow Medicine Show get started?
Well, after I could play the guitar pretty good, and then I got the banjo going, and then I learned to play the mandolin and the fiddle. Well, I was just full of music, and I needed to find ways in which I could take it out into the world. And you know, I wanted to be a traveler. I wanted to see the world. You know, my grandfather was in the Navy, and my other grandfather was in the Army, and you know, their old steamer trunk. Man, I had quite the attic, man. This attic was so cool. Mom's guitar was up there, and I brought it down, and I took a little seashell, right? And I used my seashell as a pick.
Okay.
And I put my thumbs over like this. And then I started playing, you know, what any good 14, 15-year-old plays. Punk rock, Nirvana, you know.
Right.
Stuff that really cooks. And so I was able to kind of rectify what is it to be like a partial garage band rocker, but I'm really into the kind of social message of folk music. And that's when I discovered this Appalachian old-time music that really felt to me at like 17, 18 like a kind of root of punk rock. You know, it's not bluegrass, and so it's not full of solos. It's instead this like all on the one, dum da dum da dum da dum da dum. Everybody plays together. There's no hierarchy to it. Everybody plays at once. So there's this sort of collectivity to it. And you know, bands like the Ramones or Iggy Pop and the Stooges are bands that seem to share from that same kind of common ethos that music is gregarious. There's no leader. Everybody plays at once. So I really wanted to put together a band that could sort of prove these things.
Right.
What would it be like if we all got together and we pooled our money all together and we went up into Canada and we just saw what would happen. We'll go play street corners. We'll play on Indian reservations. We'll pick up hitchhikers and see where they take us. And it worked.
I mentioned, so you were like busking in Boone, North Carolina, correct? And how did that, I understand there was a story behind that kind of someone discovered you or heard about you that helped?
Sure, well, we were real buskers, you know, and when I was a kid, I lived in New Orleans, and I would see the tap dancers out there on the quarter, you know, and I was like, I want to drop out of 4th grade and become a tap dancer too.
Right.
Man, there's a future in this. I always loved playing music on the street. For me, it was kind of like the equalizer. You know, it wasn't like, well, like here in the TV scape. And I mean, you know, I do want to mention my very first TV debut was in public television.
Okay, great.
Telethon.
Okay, you got that.
Answering those phones,
Answering
man.
the phone, I got you.
Y'all need to be calling in, supporting the station.
Absolutely.
Well, we were busking in Boone, North Carolina when flat-picking guitar legend Doc Watson along with his daughter, walked across the street, and Doc's blind. This was in the year 1998, and Doc listened to us play on the curb. And he's got ears like satellite dishes, this guy, you know, like the kind of ears that can drink, like ears that can consume.
Right.
These ears could chug probably a 12-pack, these ears. Doc Watson drank us in with these ears, and after we played, he gave us a gig on the spot, and it was like the shot heard round the world.
And that's when the career took off.
Yeah, that's how we got our big break, was on the curb.
Awesome. Tell me about becoming a member of the Grand Ole Opry. I mean, you having grown up and listened to all this music and and I'm sure when you were listening to that AM radio station, you were probably listening to the Grand Ole Opry on WSM radio.
Oh, sure.
So what was it like when you guys became members of the Grand Ole Opry?
Well, it was really the high cotton, you know, what we had all worked for all those years. I first went to the Grand Ole Opry when I was a kid on a road trip from New Orleans, you know, living along Highway 90 as you do and as I did as a kid, puts you in this sort of Gulf Coast orientation that means like you're sort of, you think of yourself as the shoulders of the nation.
Right.
You know, just because you're sort of holding them all up, you know?
Right.
And I remember going up north for one of the first times. We went up to Nashville. We went to the Opry, and I just thought that Minnie Pearl was the most enchanting woman I'd ever seen. Still do.
Yeah.
I'm actually sort of looking for a gal like Minnie.
For like Minnie? Yeah. So.
And the love affair for the Opry began there, and shortly after we met Doc Watson up in Boone, North Carolina, and got this great gig playing at his signature music festival, which is called Merle Fest, up in Wilkes, North Carolina. Well, some people from the Opry were there scouting talent, and they brought us to Nashville. And so in the year 2000, we started making trips down to Nashville to do our street corner set in front of the Opry. And it only took about a year before they said, well, would you like to play on the stage, Ketch? And of course we did.
And the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah.
Tell me about the song Wagon Wheel and how it tied in with Bob Dylan and how you worked with him on that.
This is has become a really popular and signature tune for Old Crow Medicine Show. But not only that, Wagon Wheel has become one of the most successful country songs of all time. Recently there was there's a new classification of songs in the post-streaming era that has sort of like added them all up. And on the list are the top 5 country songs of all time. And it's a little bit weird for me because I love traditional music and I love, you know, the roots. And the songs that are the top 5 of all time are the songs that are kind of questionably country anyway.
Right.
Like Little Nas X's Old Town Road is one of the 5 most successful country songs of all time.
Okay.
And I Fall to Pieces is not, and On the Road Again is not, and Ring of Fire is not, but a Lady Antebellum song is.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of like I live in Nashville, and yet I'm sort of think of myself as like precariously perched here on the left side of mainstream country in judgment, because, you know, like we did a show at the Opry recently in which we're celebrating some accolade. There's always a birthday at the Opry.
Sure.
And we're singing the Wabash Cannonball, and I'm the only guy who knows the lyrics.
By the way, I saw you doing that for a big Opry show, and you're really good at it. You should do a little bit.
Let's hear a little bit of it.
Let's do a little bit of Wabash Cannonball. I'd love
From the great Atlantic Ocean to the wide Pacific shore, from the queen of the glowing mountains to the south bow by the shore, she's mighty tall and handsome, known quite well by all. She's the combination of the Wabash Cannonball. Now listen to the jingle, to the rumble and the roar, as she glides along the woodlands or the hills and by the shore. Hear the mighty rush of the engine, hear the lonesome hobo's call. No changes can be taken on the Wabash Cannonball.
Great. You guys should record that.
We have.
I mean, is it out on an album? Or
Yeah, I think you can find it on our Spotify.
Okay, good deal. Tell me about working with Bob Dylan.
Well, I was telling you my long-winded wagon wheel story, but I kind of got derailed at Lil Nas X. Let me get back to it now. Where was I? Oh, Darius Rucker.
Yes.
My pal, Darius Rucker, whose poster hung on my sister's wall in the 7th grade, and I looked up at him right next to Bobby Brown. He had just had a big hit, My Prerogative. But then it was all about Cracked Rear View and Hootie. And the Blowfish, you know.
Right.
So my sister had taste in pop music.
Right.
And I never thought that this person was going to have such a powerful effect on my life. I liked Hootie like the next guy. It was cool. It was like kind of a Pensacola sound, honestly. Kind of like get your Zimas up, y'all. This is way pre-White Claws, right?
Right.
Anyway, so lo and behold, Darius is a major country music fan, grew up loving country music because of his mom who just played it all the time. And then Hootie had their run, and then he goes to have this next career. And my song, Rock Me Mama, Like a Wagon Wheel, I wrote when I was in high school. When I was 17, I was like, wow, this is going to be a hit. I'll probably be playing this thing till I'm dead. But it took a really long time for it to get started. And you see, earlier when I was telling you about how I was really into traditional music, I was so into traditional music that I didn't want to play original songs.
Okay.
I was like, if it's not from about 1930, it's not no good. I wanted everything I did to be really authentic, true Vine, I considered it. Right. So I wrote a lot of songs, but I didn't play them very much because for me, I was just more interested in exploring this other side of things. And yet I knew I was sitting on this hit. Right. It all started when I got this Bob Dylan scrap. It was about 30 seconds long, and you know, it's a song in which Bob Dylan's like, rock me, mama, any way you feel. And then it goes back into the mumbling. It was hard to decipher what Bob was even saying in this unreleased 25-year-old Bob Dylan recording from a film called Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. This was a movie in which Bob Dylan is an extra or / kind of a bit part. Gotcha. He plays a man named Alias, who is a knife-wielding kind of bad man. It includes a line, a monologue in which Bob Dylan simply reads the contents of cans on the wall. Beans, corn, beans. You really got to see this film.
Check it out, huh?
Yeah, it's great. And then he stabs the guy in the back. Anyway, there's this song that didn't make it. I'm convinced that after Bob messed around with the song Wagon Wheel, he found himself writing a much better song, one that goes, Mama put my guns in the ground, I can't shoot them anymore. You know, knocking on heaven's door, right?
Right.
I think that after Bob put away, shelved Rock Me Mama, he started writing Knocking on Heaven's Door, because there's a cadence to him that's similar. Anyway, years pass, I got this song, I put all the words to it except for the parts I could decipher that Bob wrote. Right. And I'm thinking about, we're in Nashville now, boys, we got to start recording some original music. What about that song that we never played that I'm convinced is going to be a hit? Well, we recorded it, and it was popular in our circle. It really helped us grow. Got a little bit of radio play when our song came out in 03 or 04. And then it just grew steadily, I think like Campfire at a time. People were just playing it, really. It's not like it was selling a ton of records, but it got popular through summer camps, open mic nights, you know, amateur nights, these ways in which somebody just needs a song. There's not a lot of chords in Rock Me Mama Like a Wagon Wheel. It's a pretty easy song. Kind of like, you know, I don't know how many actual albums Country Roads Take Me Home sold, but it sure gets played a lot. Yeah. And I realized then, oh, wait a minute, it is a folk song. I don't have to go back to 1928 to find the true Vine. I'm here putting a new branch on the tree. Right here.
Do a little bit of it.
Sure.
Do a little bit of it.
Headed down south to the land of the pine, thumbing my way to North Carolina, staring up the road, pray to God I see headlights. See, that part's true, because I used to do a lot of hitchhiking, as you could probably tell. Made it down the coast in 17 hours, picking me a bouquet of dogwood flowers. I put that line in there because I grew up in Virginia. It's all about dogwoods there. Hoping for Raleigh, I can see my baby tonight. All I ever knew about Raleigh was Sir Walter Raleigh, because I was fascinated with Roanoke Island. Remember what they wrote into that tree?
No.
Do you remember?
Nope.
They wrote Croatan.
Okay.
Just last year, I got the chance to play on Roanoke Island for the very first time.
Okay.
Sometimes I think about the ways that I was so fascinated with place and the way that music was always putting a new town in your lexicon, you know?
Right. I could see that.
I was recently trying to write a song with the word Winnemucca in it. Now try and rhyme something with Winnemucca.
With Winnemucca,
That's a
right.
challenge.
I bet.
Pensacola too. I mean, just the names on this land are so sing-song.
Right.
You know, O Shenandoah, I long to hear you could have just as easily been O Pensacola.
Well, you know, hey, give it a shot.
I was almost at the chorus.
Yeah, go for it.
So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. Well, then it was starting to get popular, you know, and then Darius heard it, but he didn't hear it on the radio, and he didn't hear it on an Old Crow record. He heard his daughter singing it at a talent show at her school when she was about 15. And so he called his producer, and he's like, "Man, I just heard this awesome song. I really think I should record it." And the producer's like, "You mean Wagon Wheel? You've never heard that before? You want to record that?" And you know, when I think of all of the country singers who could have had a big hit with that song, I'm just so glad it was Darius Rucker. He's my brother. He is my fellow member of the Grand Ole Opry family.
Yep.
And it just makes me really happy that he was the guy, because it could have been anybody, but instead it was somebody who came into country music from another place, and continues, aside from Charlie Pride, to be the most important African American singer in the genre, which is a torch that must be carried on and forth and propagated.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's a huge talent too. I love his music. Just tell me a little bit. I'm getting a little short on time. How about 5 minutes here? But tell me about your book. You wrote a children's book.
Oh yeah, sure.
Tell me about it.
Well, I was kind of around that same time that I was up there in North Carolina playing on the street corner and meeting those old men with ears like satellite dishes. Well, right around then, I was also hanging around with a lot of people who were living in kind of traditional life pathways. I think of this time in my life as hillbilly boot camp.
Okay.
You see, what does it take for a guy born in the 80s whose only real touchstone to the past would be having an AM radio or his uncle's record collection? How is he really going to be able to authenticate a kind of music that's a lot about mining coal? Right. Like, I didn't ever get no coal mine, did you?
No, I haven't.
No, right, but we got to sing about it because we're makers of country music now.
Right.
Or driving trucks. You ever drive a truck?
I have, not for a living.
No,
but,
I mean, you ever drive an 18-wheeler?
No, that's what I'm saying. Not for a living,
Yeah,
but I've driven one around. Yeah.
Well,
on a farm, believe it or not.
See, now you had the farm background. I had to go find the farm background in order to be able to authenticate country music.
Well, I wasn't exactly a farmer, but anyway, that's it.
What'd you haul?
I don't want to give the.
What was your handle?
I don't remember, but I do remember CB's. Breaker 19. You know.
We're gonna have to look this one up later.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a photo we could flash because I really would like to see you in your rig.
Yeah.
I can't remember what you were asking me.
Right.
You wanted to know, about my book, right? So anyway, I was working the tobacco allotment behind the dilapidated house that I was crashing in, because the lady there said I could crash there. And anyway, I was living in a house without running water or electricity for about a year, and really learning a lot about, God, we had this garden. It was planted by the lunar signs, and we're hunting ginseng, and shooting jack vine out of the tree with a shotgun and coiling it up and selling it to the birdhouse man. You know, just these plain affairs of living that you don't get in college.
Exactly.
And which is why I didn't go to college. I was 18 and I just wanted to learn and grow. Anyway, we didn't know there was a tobacco allotment behind the house until this whole hillbilly man came knocking on the door one day and offered us $5 a piece to go work it with him. And suddenly I found myself in the tobacco business. It was great. We were cutting it, we were putting them up in the barn, grading it, take it to the auction, and it was really interesting work. The woman that was doing this work with us, Lorraine was her name, told me a story about growing up with a pet crow she called Pretty Boy. And she had tamed all kinds of animals like one is wont to do up there in those hills and hollers. And this is a woman of Cherokee descent. Lorraine Sizemore was her name. And I started thinking about maybe someday I'm going to tell a story, kind of like the one you told me, Lorraine, about a crow that loves shiny things. So I wrote this book, and I got my friend Higgins Bond to do the illustrations. And Higgins is the first African-American woman to design a U.S. postage stamp.
Okay, yeah.
And I love to take this instrument, which is my resophonic plectrum, out into the school systems. I've read this book for 10,000 pre-K and kindergarten age kids because it's so shiny. And our crow in the book loves shiny things. And that's kind of what the arc of the story is. The crow has stolen something very important to Lorraine that she needs.
Gotcha. I have about 45 seconds left. What's on the horizon for you guys?
Oh man, in 45 seconds, the horizon?
Yeah.
Shoot. I mean, you know what would be really great is if we got a chance to come back to the Florida Panhandle in a big way. Maybe put on a big show. Oh wait, we're going to with Hank Jr.
That's right. You are in South Alabama. Going to
Yeah,
play with
that's
Hank Jr.
right.
Opening for Bocephus.
And I'm hoping that they'll book us a big show at the Sanger Theater here in Pensacola or one of the wonderful events that they have here in this region. Because, man, I was walking down Pensacola Beach today, and this is God's country.
It's a great place to hang your hat, my friend.
Sugar sand beaches galore.
It's a great place. Love to see you back.
Thanks.
Thank you, my friend. Wish
Thanks
you
for
all
the conversation.
You bet, you bet. Ketch Secor is his name. Old Crow Medicine Show, that's the band. By the way, you'll be able to see this and many more of our conversations on the PBS video app, as well as at WSRE.org/conversations. I'm Jeff Weeks. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed our program. Take wonderful care of yourself, and we'll see you soon. Play it away, Ketch. Great.